What is up, YouTube? This is Anashi with yet another deck profile video. This time I'll be showing off my new space-themed deck, the Graydle Kaijus. Not gonna lie, I'm not entirely proud of myself for building this deck in the first place, but first off, Graydle's got some new support cards that I was dying to try out, and I absolutely love them, or at least the ones I use. They actually work extremely well with the Kaijus. They keep the speed up, and believe it or not, somebody actually bought the main of my old Galaxy Kaiju deck. So I thought it'd be a neat idea to try something different with the extra Kaiju stuff I had lying around. And this works surprisingly well for what I needed to do. So let's see where this goes. First up is the Triple Graydle Slime Jr. I love this card. When it's normal, you can special a Graydle out of your graveyard, and then you can special Aqua Monster from your hand of the same level as the one you pulled out of the grave, but you can only summon Aquas for the rest of the turn. Also, if it's destroyed in battle, you get the special ending Graydle from deck. It's a great card, I love it. It's great setup for future plays. Then we get to the main point that everybody cares about when it comes to Graydles. Triple Alligator. If it's destroyed by battle or spell, you equip it to an opponent's monster as a spell card right out of the grave and take control of it. Cobra does the same if it's destroyed by battle or trap, and Eagle if it's destroyed by battle or monster effect. The thing of it is, trap is not really that heavy of destruction right now. If Cobra's getting hit with a trap of any kind, it's going to be a counter trap. But it's still useful because its stats aren't terrible. I mean, seriously, Graydle Alligator's more useful and it has less attack. And then we get the 2 Graydle Slime. If it's in the hand or grave, you can destroy 2 Graydle cards you control and special this from hand or grave. Now, you can only use this effect once per turn, but when you do summon it like this, you get to target a Graydle in grave and special it. This mainly is used to set up the Graydle Eagle plays, but I, more often than not, use it on the spell traps that I've already used for the turn. Then we get to the Kaiju part of the deck, which is fairly small now. 2 Dogrin, remove 3 Kaiju counters to blow up all monsters the opponent controls, and if you do, it can't attack. Godarla, you remove 3 and cut every stat of every monster except itself in half permanently. 3 Gamma Seal, as opposed to the 2s of the others. Remove 2 counters to negate any spell trap or monster effect, and if you do, you banish it. Now, these Kaijus, of course, as we all know, have the effects that say you can only control 1 Kaiju at a time, and you contribute an opponent's monster to summon the Kaiju to their field, and if your opponent controls a Kaiju, you can special summon one of these. Now, Super Anti-Kaiju War Machine Mecha Dogrin does not have this effect. It only has the effect that says you can special summon it to your side of the field if your opponent controls a Kaiju. And its effect is you can remove 2 counters to equip a Kaiju monster from your hand or grave to it as an equip card, and it gains attack equal to that monster. And all the other ones you attach on later if you even get the opportunity. This one is mainly just one to give my opponent off of the spell card. These are the main point of the deck's Kaiju engine because, well, they are what I use for my Xyz materials. Gamma Seal, on the other hand, I actually use with Graydle Slime Jr. if I happen to have a Graydle Dragon in grave. Not a lot of people think about that combo, but this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to try Graydle Kaiju in the first place, because Graydle Slime Jr. has a great setup with Gamma Seal. Next we move into the spell lineup, starting with the Triple Graydle Impact. Target a Graydle card you control, and an opponent's card, destroy both. And during the end phase, if you didn't use this effect, you get to search a Graydle card from your deck to your hand. I love this card. It's Scrap Dragon in spell form. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. I only run 2 because, quite frankly, the Kaijus are not what I focus on in this deck anymore. I focus on a mix between the Kaijus and the Graydles. But, you know, it's Dark Hole with a summoning effect. It's great. And then if it's in the grave, you get to banish it to add another Kaiju to hand. Triple Kyoto Waterfront. Now, I don't run any terraforming in this particular build for the simple fact that the counters are not really what matters to me. Sure, I love getting counters on this card and whatever other way I can think of later, but for right now, it's not the main focus. It's just, I mainly use it for search, if anything. But if a card on the field is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a counter for each card sent to the graveyard. And, if it gets destroyed, you can remove a counter instead. And if you have 3 on it, you can search a kaiju for free once per turn. Still running the double 7th one, and I'm pretty sure we all know why now. And double salvage so that I can get back those necessary Graydles. And then we get to the trap lineup with single bottomless, triple call, and triple Graydle Parasite. This card is fun. If you have no monsters and your opponent makes a direct attack, you special Graydle from deck. If your opponent has no monsters and you attack directly with a Graydle, you special summon a monster from their graveyard to their side. Each effect can only be used once per turn, obviously, but I love this card. It confuses people when they manage to clear my board, except this one back row, and more often than not, that's all I'm left with. And all of a sudden, I steal a monster after taking a little bit of damage compared to what I could have taken. I adore the possibilities that I can get with this deck, and this card makes a lot of it happen. Then we'll go into the side deck, which I'm still kind of working on. But we have the 3rd Graydle Cobra, the 3rd Graydle Slime, the 3rd Godarla, the 3rd Dogran, double Dark Hole, double MST, compulsory, the 3rd Salvage, double Graydle Split. I went back and forth with keeping this card in the main deck, but it's just too slow. Graydle Parasite works better. But if you equip it to a monster, you can give it 500 attack points, then you can send this card to the graveyard, destroy the monster it's equipped to, and summon 2 new Graydles from deck. Don't get me wrong, double summoning a Graydle pair from the deck is awesome, but this card is way too slow to use consistently unless you're running a pure Graydle deck. As much as I wish I could do that, pure Graydles just aren't viable right now. At least I haven't found a build that can do it. Mirror Force, Torrential, and Vanities. And then finally we get into the extra deck, starting with the triple Graydle Dragon. When summoned, you destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of water monsters used for the summon of it. What using regular Graydle Slime gets you 2, using Graydle Slime Jr. and a pair of level 3s, like with its effect, gives you 3 destructions. And if this card would be destroyed and sent to the grave, you target another water in the grave and special summon it, but its effects are negated. I automatically love this card for the simple fact that it's such mass destruction, it completely counterbalances the number of cards necessary to summon it. Honestly, this was one of the reasons I wanted this card in this deck in the first place, was because, well, I don't want a deck that just exceeds summons. Even if all it does is synchro 1 extra monster, I'm perfectly happy with that, because I want decks that are flexible and have more than just one systematic set of moves. But I do plan on putting more synchros in here as I get them. In the meantime, though, I do still have a Constellar Pleiades and Ptolemy 7, mainly just to get out in the event that I get 2 Graydle Slimes, which is not difficult for this deck. Detach a material, bounce a card on the field to the hand. Detach a material, bounce a card on the field or in the graveyard to the hand, but you can't use its effect if it was summoned by its inherent upgrade effect, which you can summon it by using it as a material. But moving on, we also have the 107 Tachyon, still trying to get the second copy, having a little difficulty. But, you detach a material, all attack points and defense points become normal, and once it resolves during this battle phase, it gains 1,000 attack for each additional effect used during the battle phase, and an extra attack. Neo Tachyon does something very similar, however. I only summon it off of 7th one, which is fine, but it's still funny. If you have Tachyon as a material, you contribute 2 monsters. They can make up to 3 attacks this turn. But its regular effect is you can detach a material and lock all cards and effects your opponent controls. It actually negates all cards on the field and locks out your opponent's back row, but it doesn't matter. It's still amazing. We also have the number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy, which can negate spells and attach it as materials, and during the battle phase, you can redirect attacks to this card instead, and if an Xyz monster control is destroyed, it gains attack equal to the one that was destroyed, or any Xyz monster you control gains attack equal to whichever one was destroyed. Then you have the Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon, which I never summon normally. I always use its upgrade effect, which at the moment, the only way I can do that is off of Galaxy Eyes Prime, which is fine. Prime lets you detach and give it attack points equal to 200 times the rank of all Xyz monsters on the field. It does have damage if it doesn't have Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and that's really all it does unless it has Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. This guy, on the other hand, doesn't have that dependency. You can use a Galaxy Eyes Exceeds monster as an upgrade. You can attach a material to pop a card, and if for whatever reason it has equip cards on it, you can add them to it as Exceeds material. I'm just going to say it. Its effect is useless, except the one that attaches to destroy stuff. That is the only reason you use this card. That, and also it's another stepping stone for Dark Matter Dragon, where you can detach, it makes up to 2 attacks. And that is the deck. Like I said before, I'm a little bit ashamed that I made this deck because Graydle Kaiju in general is seen as a scrubby deck where I come from because it requires no legitimate effort to play. Tribute an opponent's monster for a Kaiju on their side, summon a Graydle, take a little damage, take the Kaiju back or something that's stronger than it, and then you just play back row to defend yourself until the game's over. I wanted this deck to be a little bit more tactful, and don't get me wrong, I do still do this, but it's not as scrubby as it used to be, and my own friends have actually admitted this. I do plan on putting more synchros in here as soon as I can figure out which ones are actually going to be able to work with the deck. But if anybody has any other suggestions on how I can improve the deck, do let me know. In the meantime, this has been Anashi, signing out.